minutes ago.
Oh, you wanted to start it? Okay. So, hey everyone. I know it's been kind of a little while since the last vlog, but we finally got a chance to see the Super Mario Brothers movie. And I've heard some mixed reactions on this one.
There was. Honestly speaking, for me, I saw the critics being a little bit more on the not so great review, while the audience were having all the thumbs up in the world.
Yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes, the critic reception was 53, while the audience was 96.
Yep.
But people, I typically listen to critics when I hear about this stuff.
Yeah.
But even I'll admit critics can be wrong from time to time on certain movies.
Yep.
Some of them thought this was a little disappointing and they wanted more out of it.
Yep.
Before we get into Mario, though, because we did talk about this briefly in some of our other vids, we kind of want to talk about our brief history in gaming.
Yep.
So why don't you take the seat and go with that?
Yep. So I grew up with Nintendo right away, or at least I was born. When I was born, we had this Nintendo 64 in the house, so that was kind of like my starter up into the game, to the video game realm. And then I bought PlayStation, then I bought the Wii, then I bought the Xbox, and continued forward the Xbox. I also got back onto the Switch, so I'm back on the Nintendo as well. Play a lot of games, since Nintendo, of course, being the Mario games, Star Fox 64. I did play one of the Legend of Zelda game during the Wii era, though. Also, Super Smash Bros. As always.
Especially if it was Smash Brothers Melee on the GameCube. I have other people that I know that played that a lot. It was a lot of fun.
I played Melee on a GameCube at my friend's house. N64 was the original Super Smash. GameCube, I went over to friends, played Melee. When we got the Wii, it was Brawl. And then I didn't get the Wii U, which I know there was the other one. I did play kind of like that one when I went to college.
The Wii U was it's supposed to be the successor, but from what I remember, it was one of the commercial failures in gaming. So Nintendo kind of thought, okay, this didn't work, let's try something else, and that's where we got to the Switch.
Yep, and that's where we got to the Switch. And like I said, I did play the Wii U variant of the Super Smash Bros. During college. And then finally the Switch, I got Ultimate. And then that was really fun too. Of course, all the characters, being able to play all the characters too, and even some further expansions, DLC characters along the way as well.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm more of I have played Nintendo stuff. Like, I've played on Game Boy, I've played on Nintendo DS, I have played GameCube and Wii, a little bit of 64 because you had the Nintendo 64.
Yep.
I have played on the NES Classic and the Super NES Classic because I did want to see what all those classic games were.
Yep.
I still haven't gotten around to getting to all of them, but it's a lot of work. I think in my gaming history, I've always been more of a PlayStation person.
Yep.
Ever since the beginning with PS1, I've always been impressed with some of those games. Yep. And I continued that well into PS2, although I think there's a lot of stuff I missed out in the PS2 era, and I know it. So that's why I played some of those classics on the PS3.
Yep.
A system that I will defend to this day because the console war between the 360 and the 3 was...
It was heavily favoring the 360.
It was just a bad time to be a gamer, really, because those Xbox people I had to deal with growing up, they were pretty nasty.
Well, I will say this though: during that PS3, Xbox 360, the 360 did win. Then the PlayStation did sort of win when the first basic Xbox One and the PS4 came out. That took a turn a little bit, at least right away. When PlayStation 1, basically. That round, basically.
The way I see it is that the PS3 had a very rocky start.
It did.
$600 for a system that may have been a bit faulty, because I think there were some issues with it, but the 360 had more issues than the 3 did. And so Sony took that feedback, and when they introduced the Slim model and the Super Slim, they basically made improved versions of the 3 that people thought were the better versions. Yeah. And of course the PS4 was awesome, and I still have to get a PS5, which the stock is improving for that.
Yes, it is. In terms of the sales prices, you could already count your losses. If we're going to go based on console wars, it's already declared a loss in favor of the Xbox. So just because they were able to sell out, a lot of it out right away. Not only that though, but they were able to mass produce, on a continuous basis. While PlayStation had not only the shortage issues, but the chip issues as well.
Yeah, and they've kind of figured it out because I have been seeing improved stock lately. Yep. But I mean, they're still kind of maybe a little way they have to go. But I mean, they're improving. I think the reason why I bring up that console war is because like a lot of it was just extremely petty, and a lot of it was very angsty kind of fighting amongst the kids I grew up with. And I just did not want to be a part of that culture. It was nasty.
Yeah, but
and I mean, the systems are good for what they are. I've always found, PlayStation to be more gamer friendly, whereas the Xbox is more mainstream, if that makes any sense.
I would say Xbox is more multiplayer friendly, more, online friendly, and PlayStation is more exclusive or single player friendly. You could say.
And I mean, a lot of the best exclusive single player stuff has always been either on PlayStation or Nintendo, because Nintendo's got their single player exclusives. And Xbox, I'm not throwing them under the bus, but it's like, I just kind of, like you said, they're more multiplayer friendly and stuff. I just kind of feel like, people have this mentality of the best games are playing with friends online, but I'm like, no, it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, like, also a good story, sometimes all that stuff. But also, to be fair to Xbox, because I also played Xbox too growing up, at a friend's house, and then finally getting one for myself, they do have their own exclusive. Halo, Gears of War, those type of, games, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, there's stuff that is probably exclusive outside of Gears and Halo, but I can't name them off the top of my head.
Yeah, they're probably like, some of them have been a little bit either smaller, maybe medium. Like if you're more immersed into it and stuff like that, you could probably find some Xbox exclusives per se. But those two are like the biggest and more well-known, exclusive from Xbox, basically.
Yeah.
Especially Halo.
Yeah, and so basically with the gaming experiences that we have, the games that we've played, the idea of turning them into a movie, it sounds cool, but for years, this is the other topic I wanted to bring up, was the tumultuous history of video game adaptations.
Yeah, from the early 90s until good chunk of all 2000 and a good chunk of the 2010s. A lot of video game failures.
There were a lot of them that were just, terrible or made incompetently, or some were even failed franchises that never really got off the ground.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, you're talking about that? That killed the original stuff in the 90s, and then they had to reboot it later down the road.
Yeah.
But in terms of failed franchises, I was thinking Prince of Persia, because Disney was really betting on the Prince of Persia movie to be the next Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, but I mean, and that was another game too, or that type of series where it's like, if you played it, you probably liked it, but also it didn't get anything going with its, it probably got like a few sequels, but...
There was some sequels, and I think there was a reboot. I know they're available on GOG. I probably want to check them out.
It was one of those, it had promises as the game itself, but couldn't get anything couldn't generate just enough, basically. It generated enough to where it got a few games, but not enough, unlike others, to where it just kept going. It eventually died out.
Yeah. And then in terms of video game movies, there's also The Big Bad 2, which are Paul W.S. Anderson and Uwe Boll, who have essentially made video game movies that people say are worst movie experience ever. Yeah. Like Paul W.S. Anderson, he did the first Mortal Kombat in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Which some people have said it's cheesy but kind of enjoyable.
Yeah.
He was not involved in Annihilation.
Which was very much probably a lot more of the get the slangers a lot more, and a lot more cheesy and stuff like that.
Have you seen Annihilation?
I've seen clips, multiple clips. Even people on YouTube and stuff like that, or other YouTubers, who have used clips to make fun of that movie.
Yeah, but then after the first Mortal Kombat, he did the Resident Evil movies with Mila Jovovich, which are nothing more than a vanity project to show off how cool she is.
Yep. And even some of the Resident Evil, those movies, it just didn't seem like Resident Evil.
Yeah, there's a reviewer on the internet called Deus Deacon who did a retrospective on all of them, and he points out how unfaithful and nonsensical the movies got as they went along.
Yeah, it did not feel Resident Evil per se. Let's just put it that perspective. It felt kind of like the Paramount Plus Halo, basically.
I'll go into that actually.
Because the Paramount Halo was basically, it had the the armor and some of some of the characters, all that sort of stuff, but it did not follow completely. Now I know they said it was not not canon, which is good for the Halo fan base and stuff like that, but not canon. But it was completely unfaithful for the Halo. Like, it basically did Master Chief no good whatsoever.
Yeah, didn't they unmask him or something?
They unmask him right away.
Oh, jeez. That kills the mystery.
That kills that mystery right away. Then eventually he took down like some more armor and stuff like that, as far as I remember. Then there was a female involved that was on the Covenant side, although I don't know why, because there was nothing of the source like that. They went in a completely different direction.
That's the thing about Halo, is that for years they've said they want to do a big budgeted adaptation of it, and I think Steven Spielberg was attached to it at one point, and a Spielberg directed Halo movie would actually be pretty good.
Yeah.
If they did that. It would have to be $200 million plus on the budget.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's one big franchise they've tried to get off the ground for years, and then what you're telling me is like it's not Halo one bit.
It was not Halo 1, it was not even Halo at all, basically. It was basically like you slap, it was a different show or something like that, or different sci-fi, you just happen to slap on the cosmetic of Halo stuff on it, basically.
Yeah, which is what Paul W. Sanderson did with Resident Evil.
Yeah, that's kind of like that. It's a different horror type movie. You just slapped in Resident Evil and some characters that are familiar to us and stuff like that, and called it Resident Evil.
Yeah, but then they continued their antics with the Monster Hunter movie, which you saw that more than I did.
I did. Now that one, slightly a little bit different, although they play with the time, or kind of like I don't want to say time travel. It was more like a portal kind of like thing to like different worlds, basically. That sort of thing. You got military shoved into Monster Hunter basically via portal dimension, kind of like turning and stuff like that. Now, what I did sort of like how they made the military weapon useless to these monsters in Monster Hunter. Now, they did use some of the voice, or kind of like the voiceover, or the voice of the monsters in the movie, and they did make them a lot powerful. But what I didn't like, though, was some of the things where it's like, okay, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. I would also say this too. There wasn't any like what supposed to be look like the climax was just ended basically.
So basically, it had an abrupt ending that was very anticlimactic.
Basically, it was they had like that climatic with the face of the franchise of Monster Hunter, which is the Rathalos. But they treat it as like okay, this is unstoppable and stuff like that. We have to kill it by when he opens his mouth and starts a fire, basically. Where it's like, in Monster Hunter, it's like, when you play the game, it's like, he is a flagship monster, but all you have to do is just keep fighting until he's died. He is just a regular wyvern. He just happens to be a little bit more on the stronger end. He's not they treat it almost as an elder dragon, and he's not an elder dragon. Or it's not an elder dragon. And elder dragons are like oh crap, we're gonna get our butts kicked.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like with Paul W. Sanderson is that he has this reputation of like angering fans of games.
Yeah. And
he's tried to defend his stuff, saying he's a populist filmmaker, like he only cares if it entertains you or not.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're gonna call you out no matter what, man.
We are. I will say this though, because Netflix did came out. There was a Monster Hunter like animated.
Yeah, I saw a little bumper ad for that actually.
Yeah, they were a lot more true to the franchise. A lot more true to the franchise, because they actually although it was a sort of like a backstory to a previous Monster Hunter game, basically, because some of the characters that you meet just so happens to be in one of the Monster Hunter games.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't go into that too much, but it's nice that you mentioned that there's something that's a little more faithful than the actual movie. Yeah. And then outside of Paul W. Sanderson, the other guy, Uwe Boll, he's made what people consider to be like the worst things ever in video game adaptations, like House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain. There was a Far Cry movie, and then Postal and In the Name of the King, which are the other two that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with.
No, but like you say, if you're not familiar with it, to some people who have seen it, they're probably saying good.
Yeah, because like Uwe Boll, he's the kind of guy that he makes the worst movies imaginable, and I've seen Alone in the Dark and House of the Dead I saw, but Alone in the Dark is... You see the trailer and you think, oh, this is going to be awesome. But then you see the movie and you're like, oh, no. Yeah. It's that bad because Uwe Boll, he somehow thinks everything he makes is art and that he is the only genius in the movie industry. He's not.
Yeah.
Anyone who's seen his movies will tell you this. And he famously challenged his critics to a boxing match and he beat them, but backed out when someone had amateur experience in boxing. So, oh boy.
Yeah, backed out when someone actually has experience in boxing instead of just like trying to take a throw swing.
Yeah, and then Uwe Boll did challenge Michael Bay to a boxing match.
Yeah.
But Michael Bay declined and called him out for being a chump and just doing this for attention. And you know what? He's right.
It's fair. I mean, it's fair because because Michael Bay, everyone has done his criticism on him. He understands it.
Yeah, but at least Michael Bay's movies look professionally made and are not super cheap.
Yeah, you know? The only thing that you could say is a little bit cheap, well, we grow now, that you could say, is the amount of explosions that he puts in his movies.
That's one of the things people have come after him for, but I don't think we should go into that too much.
Yep.
And then outside of The Big Bad 2 in video game adaptations, there really has not been a third guy that can join these ranks in terms of terrible movies. There's really no third person.
No, but there's also been occasions, a few occasions of okay-ish or decent video games movie. I know you mentioned, even though you may not say it's you call this more of a, kind of like a, I would say come play our game basically.
Oh yeah. I do want to bring that up, is that the World of Warcraft movie, although I'm pretty sure Warcraft fans got a lot out of that, I am convinced to this day that it was secretly a recruitment ad from Blizzard to try and get more people to play it.
Which I could sort of see just because it is it's a main backstory type of thing. It doesn't prelude to any other DLCs or expansion. It's this is what happened, or this is kind of how we kind of tell how we get into this whole World of Warcraft that basically from the start, basically. So it's on one hand it does somewhat of a good service to the Warcraft industry, fandom, but on the other hand it's now you know our backstory, come play with us.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've ever seen the South Park episode of Warcraft,
which won an Emmy,
it tells you that yes, the game is addicting, but don't get too addicted to it because you might have no life. And how do you kill that which has no life?
Well, you have to become a no life yourself.
Exactly. But I think, the general consensus is that a lot of video game movies have been extremely unfaithful, and any attempt to try and make something more faithful gets tossed to the side in favor of what we've ended up getting. Because there's been a few attempts. I know George A. Romero was going to do a more faithful adaptation of Resident Evil.
Yep.
But then they went with Paul W.S. Anderson's idea, and you're like, God, what's the matter with you? You got the zombie pioneer. He'll make a good movie for you.
Yeah.
You turn him down and...
Yep, although there are a few, as of lately, have been turning around, basically.
There's a few animated ones that at least were true to the world of the games that they're based on.
Yeah, Sonic, although right away when the first trailer came out, it was going to be unfaithful to it. But then after amounts of criticism came flooding their way, they redesigned Sonic to be more
faithful to what
more
it was.
Faithful, if not exactly faithful.
Although I'm not really a Sonic fan, so I can't speak to that level.
Yeah. But I would say that, I play a little bit of Sonic, especially, again, for the Wii with the Black Knight. And I also did buy one of its recent Sonic games for the Xbox. But I would say this, in terms of design, it was definitely a lot more faithful to the franchise. And people did, appreciate that and gave them a good review and money well worth to make a sequel.
Yeah, and some have argued the Sonic film broke the gaming curse, but I don't know if that's true, because I have not seen any of the Sonic movies.
Yeah.
Maybe I should. But the thing is, with what we're going to talk about today, is that there was one Mario movie, live action, the very first video game movie ever. It was a Super Mario movie in the early 90s, but I've tried to look for that, but I can't find it on any streaming service.
Because that's part of that whole like terrible video game movies during the 90s. Really terrible. All you have to do is just look at a few photos on the internet, you will know why. Exactly.
Yeah, and people who worked on the live-action Mario movie have said that it was a nightmare to be on.
Yeah.
Like Bob Hoskins, the actor that played Mario, said it was just a really bad experience for him.
Yeah.
But I heard John Leguizamo was protesting this new Mario movie for some reason.
Don't know why, but in terms of...
he said that this new Mario movie didn't have enough Latino characters in it, and I'm like, oh no, he's one of these guys.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that one. All right.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it too much, but basically, he's just trying to get attention. That's all.
Going to this more, again, becoming a little bit more faithful, the animated Mario movie, this one that we just saw, I liked it a lot.
And why did you like it so much?
Because there was a good amount of, first of all, the characters and stuff like that. Bowser, which was played by Jack Black, I thought he did a really good job of.
I did not like him as Bowser, actually.
You did? I actually liked it. There was a few jokes too, and especially the whole Princess Peach one. I was like, okay, yep, I can see that because, Bowser did want Princess Peach, and he played exactly to that role. He wants Princess Peach, basically.
Okay, so this movie, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but it's also not great either. I'm in very two minds about this one.
I understand you're kind of like on the mixed review a little bit as well. We were talking about a little bit as well. I also did like, I did like a little bit of the Chris Pratt Mario, although again I would have preferred the "Let's Go" or the "Woohoo."
He kind of did a little bit of that.
He did. Although I think some of the other one, I think that older Mario guy, when we first saw him, I think that might have been the original voice actor, because,
Oh, the dad character?
Not the dad character, the other one, the one with, like, the red hat that looked like the older Mario, who was a little bit more chubbier, that you saw in that pizza bar. And we also saw him at the end a little bit, too, that goes,
oh, yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Because, go into that.
Yeah, because that one he did the Mario, and I was like, oh, that's the original Mario right there.
Oh, so that was him. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, because it sounded a lot more of that. Although I almost, and I thought at first, when they did the commercial ads, I thought it was like the original one. But then as I kind of listened to it further, it was actually Chris Pratt and
Charlie Day as Luigi.
They were both trying to do their best impression of how Mario and Luigi would sound, basically, before going back to their kind of like somewhat,
their regular voices.
Their regular voiceover, basically, yeah.
Yeah. So this movie, I will tell you what I thought was good before we get into the stuff that I had an issue with.
Yep.
So for the good stuff, the animation in this movie is fantastic.
Oh, it was completely.
Like, this looks like Pixar level animation.
Yeah, the animation for a Mario movie was really good. That was another one.
And I especially liked how they recreated the worlds of Mario faithfully.
Yeah.
They gave it some nice touches here and there, but this really did feel like this was a Mario movie.
Yeah, and the layout too of the world too almost felt like a Mario world, basically, where it's like you have the Mushroom Kingdom, you have the Kong Kingdom.
You got the Egyptian pyramid world.
Yeah, the Egyptian pyramids. You also had the ice, the Penguin Kingdom. You also had Bowser in his kingdom.
There was no Cloud Kingdom. Like, there were no Cloud Kingdom because, like, I know there's a few Mario games where there's like in the sky Cloud Kingdom.
Yeah. Plus, there was a bunch of Nintendo references.
I caught a few of them, but you caught more than I did.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them, ranging from games to sound, like sounds like when you start up like a console, basically, or different like variation from like different like Nintendo, like franchises too, or like different.
Yeah, the iconic sound effects are there, and the ringtone on their phones was the GameCube startup, which was that was a nice touch.
Yeah, it was. Then you had Mario playing Kid Icarus,
Oh yeah, he was playing it on an NES.
Yeah, and an NES.
Although I would have liked if we had seen a Super Nintendo Entertainment System, an N64, a Wii, maybe a GameCube.
Probably, but maybe that could be down the line. I mean, you gotta start off with like some classic stuff. Which, speaking of classic, I know this was one of the things that I saw, but you missed the original Arc-Wing kind of like design from Star Fox 64.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I know you did.
Yeah, it was like sitting right on top of the TV, and I noticed that too. I was like, oh my god, it's the Arc-Wing.
So yeah, let me think. Animation-wise, this was actually really good. I thought it's very Pixar level, you know.
Yeah.
I would say the action was serviceable for a Mario movie. Like this felt like, because there's a ton of scenes where they shoot it like in the side scroller action.
Oh yeah, like if you were playing the game basically.
Yeah, but I think the problem though is that I didn't get the feeling of the struggles I have when playing those games.
Yeah. Although I would have wished during a Donkey Kong fight originally, thought they would change the level design to the original Mario and Donkey Kong. You know how like Donkey Kong started throwing the barrels down.
Oh yeah, when you're going up the ladders and the platforms, they could have done that.
They could have like at least change it like during the fight, change it up a little bit to where it's like designed like that. That Mario had to climb up and stuff like that.
Yeah. So let me think. Animation was great. The action was serviceable.
Soundtracks, they're again like going back to
the soundtrack was like a mix of the gaming music with 80s rock and pop music.
Yep, and they also brought in the same game soundtracks, but with again like a remix basically.
Yeah,
or a remake.
Their own little mixtapes of it.
Mixtapes of it, yeah, ranging from the DK, you know, DK.
The DK rap, yeah.
Yeah, the DK.
Donkey Kong. DK. Donkey Kong.
Yep.
The first time I heard that was in Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah.
But came from Donkey Kong 64, actually.
Yep. And you hear a lot of that, so it's like, oh, there's that one. Then you also had the kind of like their own little touches, and that was with when you collect the star power, which a lot of in the Super Smash, Bros. Where once you collect the star, you just hear do 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 do.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was their own little remake of that, or their own remix of it. And then they also had some of the '80s music and stuff like that.
Yeah, which was little brief snippets of it. They didn't go into that too much.
No, but I thought when one of the Kongs, kind of like that little guy in the suit when he was like racing around, I thought when they it was like the take on me. I thought it was like, I thought at the beginning he said something else, like donkey in like a way, or like like Donkey Kong or something like that. I thought he said something like that, but it's like don't get me. But for a second I thought I heard like donkey, like
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the music wasn't bad and the action was serviceable, and again the animation was great. Now I think I want to go into the stuff that I felt divided on, but also I'm like, wait, what? Like I was doing this a lot in the theater where I was just going, this is kind of bizarre.
Which is?
Like, let's start with the opening action sequence. So if you've seen the trailer of this movie, you see Bowser's Fortress and he's like coming in.
Oh yeah.
Which I can't recall if Bowser ever had a flying fortress in one of the games.
I think he might have like at least a flying island, basically. I don't know about flying fortress, but at least a flying island, so to speak.
Like, I would have preferred if he was in his own land, and maybe he was using magical teleportation technology or something. Why did I say? I don't know. But
also,
yeah.
One other reference too. I thought that invasion, like that first scene, it felt Imperial March-ish.
You got Empire Strikes Back vibes from that?
Like that do.
Oh yeah, when it's coming in like a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
I was also kind of getting Independence Day vibes when the 15-mile wide ships fly over our cities and then they're gonna blow them up. It was kind of like that, but not too much.
Yeah, for me, I got like Star Destroyer because it felt like Imperial March. Imperial March. from Star Wars.
But they were smart enough not to rip off Star Wars and its visuals entirely. But
no,
for some reason, like when the Flying Fortress is over, like
the Ice Kingdom.
Well, after that, the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh yeah.
I was getting Thor: The Dark World flashbacks when the Dark Elf ship comes into Asgard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but with the Ice Kingdom, so this Penguin army and the Penguin King was voiced by Kari Payton, who, if you're a Teen Titans fan, you'll know that he was Cyborg.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was Kari Payton?
Oh yeah, when you saw him at the credit, with the list of names.
Yeah. That was Kari Payton? Because it sounded like Phil Lamar. Like, I did not get any Cyborg out of that guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they fight Bowser, but they use like snowballs and other weapons, and Bowser obviously defeats them.
With these.
Yeah, I would have preferred like a much more fair fight. Like, they're putting up a good fight, but Bowser's like, getting through their ranks and eventually defeats them,
Yeah.
Like, I would have wanted that, so that was something that bothered me about that sequence.
You have tiny penguins against a giant turtle who breathes fire.
I know, but I would have wanted like a more epic war sequence that would have been something to like get really excited about. But I know it's a kid's movie.
Yeah.
I shouldn't pick on it too much, but
It's not. But also, if you really wanted to do that, you would have had to have Bowser sit in the back, wait a little bit while the Koopas and the Penguins. That would have probably been more of a somewhat of a fair fight, although still favoring Koopas.
Or maybe like the opening scene in A New Hope when the stormtroopers like burst through the door. They're fighting the rebels. They get pushed back, and then Bowser comes in like Darth Vader does.
With his wizard, companion too, because if the wizard was there, that would have been like over in an instant, like it did, because the wizard was like, boop.
Yeah. So that sequence, it was also really fast paced too, because this is a faster paced movie than I thought it was going to be.
An hour and 32-minute film, yeah. Big.
And I know it's a kid's film; they have to like make it short runtime.
Yep.
But it's like, I just would have preferred if they extended some of the scenes a bit.
Yep.
Like, not make it too fast, have a more natural pace.
Yep.
Which is something that's actually bothered me a lot in modern animated movies, is like stuff goes too quick these days.
I mean, I did like it was maybe slightly, on the faster side. Maybe could have gone a little bit, but at the same time, they did get a lot of of that Mario world kind of like right there right away.
I guess so. But then, so the Mario Brothers, they come from Brooklyn, New York. Now, I have not played too much Mario, so I don't know if this is faithful or not. What would you say?
I mean, that's a little bit of an interesting kind of take, just because when Mario was created, as far as everybody knows, you didn't know where they came from, per se. You just know that these are the two brothers who happen to be in the Mushroom Kingdom. And they're trying to save Princess Peach. Now in Odyssey, it did kind of look like New York. Basically when you played Odyssey, well, like that, traveling the world, you're kind of like in this big city, kind of like New York vibe, basically.
I haven't played Odyssey, so
Yeah.
you probably know more than I do. But yeah, I always kind of accepted playing the games, a little bit of what I played, that they lived in this fantastical, cartoonish world.
Yeah.
You didn't really know too much about their backstories.
No, but I would say though because I would say it is kind of like, you could say somewhat a little bit stereotyping, only because it is an Italian living in, New York.
I guess, yeah, that's one way of looking at it.
It is a little bit.
I didn't think about it too much.
Because mafias or the Italians, in Brooklyn, or the Bronx, living in that New York City. Kind of, you have to throw, I guess it was a little bit of a stereotype right there, but again, it's a kids movie. You gotta get some cheesy reference, or cheesy stereotypes, and that's one of them right there.
Yeah, I just maybe would have preferred if they didn't live in the real world and they were just in this fantastic cartoonish world, which is what the trailer gave me an impression of.
Yeah.
Let me think. The fight scene between Donkey Kong and Mario, I don't know why, but I thought it was similar to Thor Ragnarok when Thor and the Hulk are fighting in the Sakar arena.
I guess you could see that, at least, initially right away, where it's like Mario comes in, everyone's kind of booing, and all of a sudden Mario is seeing Donkey Kong running out
from the shadows, and he's like, "Gah!
Yeah! But instead of Mario going yes, like Thor said yes, it was more of Donkey Kong being Donkey Kong. Showboating! DK! Donkey Kong! And then of course Gramps, or, was like, not now, Donkey Kong.
Yeah, but that scene felt so similar, but yet somehow better than it was in Thor Ragnarok. Because anyone who knows me knows that Ragnarok's one of my most hated Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But for here, I mean, it felt serviceable enough, and I like that he's struggling at first, but then he gets the right power up to take him out.
Yep, which was the Cat Mario outfit, or the cat outfit.
Yeah, which game was that from again, the cat outfit?
I believe it was one of the more recent Mario games. If I don't know which. I think it was Odyssey, or maybe a little bit earlier before that. But it was a nice. It was an interesting power up, though. I know it was one of the recent ones within the 5-year span, because when I saw it, it actually looked kind of really interesting, the Cat Mario outfit.
I would have wanted to have seen the cape power up, where you fly into the air, but then the cape like goes out because there's like air in the back, you know, and he's like going up and down in the air. Like, I would have wanted to have seen that, but maybe they'll do that.
It was funny though when he got the blue mushroom, which is the make you smaller instead of like the regular mushroom when it makes you, power up.
Yeah, that was something that actually really bothered me about the mushrooms, is that you have to eat them in order to like get the power ups, and I'm like, what?
Well, in the game, because they never really show you or kind of like explain how they get, how they do, what they do with the mushroom once you get it. It's just like once you touch it, you either, you get the power up. So you never know if they're like eat it right away, or if they do kind of like a absorption, like kind of like this sort of way.
I would have liked it if like they had it in their hand and then they like did this, and then they absorbed it. Because like in Doom 4, for instance, in Doom 4, when you use Argent energy to power up yourself, you grab this glass ball, and then you absorb the power.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they couldn't do that. They had to eat the mushroom.
Hey, but although besides the mushroom, because you also had the fire, when you collect the fire, the fire flower.
Oh, before we get to that, maybe with the mushrooms, what they should have done with like the red and the blue mushroom, when they eat the red mushroom, I would have liked a line where he said, "Oh, it tastes like strawberry," and maybe with the blue one, it tastes like blueberry.
Although I wish they would have got like the green one, because you know how the green one's like an extra life.
Oh yeah, they could have been like, "Oh, this tastes like what's it
like a grape or something like that."
Yeah, it tastes like a grape.
All of a sudden, it's like, "What did you do?" It's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Watch this," and all of a sudden, it's just like, "Wait, I thought I died." It's like, you did die, but you got an extra life out of it.
Maybe, or they could have had the jumbo mushroom where he becomes all big and strong, So they could have done that. And then the training course section, like we see Mario struggle, but then he gets better at it as time goes on.
When that happened, when it kind of like separated like that, I was like, Mario Maker? Much?
And then like Peach said that she kind of struggled a bit at first, but then got good with it. At least that's what I heard.
Mario was like, no. Mario called her bluff though. Mario's like, you did it on your first try, didn't you? No, I didn't. Okay, maybe I did.
Oh, that's what they said?
Yeah, it was sort of like the joke. It was like, because Princess Peach was trying to, as Mario said, you're trying to make me feel better, aren't you? It's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I know what they were doing there, because originally, in the preparing stages for this movie, the original idea was Mario was going to be tossed to the side. This was going to be Peach's movie. That's what I heard. Yeah. So that scene where she like perfected the training course, that's the only thing that survived from that draft of the script.
Yeah, I guess they had to. I mean, Princess Peach is not the damsel in distress though, because we have seen her fight basically, ranging from the Super Smash Bros. Series to other kind of like variation as well.
Yeah, and I mean,
so it's not like she can be like like to help Mario basically sort of thing. She can fight, which we've seen in the movie.
Yeah, I would have liked it maybe if she got captured, which she kind of does, but we'll get to that.
Yep.
And then she basically, like, eventually figures out some loopholes and then fights her way through the Bowser Castle.
Yeah.
Fortress, whatever. Trying to think, what else is there to say outside
Also, I will say this, Nintendo, there are a few things that you did show in this movie that I'm like, you better put this in future Mario games.
Or movies.
Well, not just movies, but I'm talking like games in general. One of them is Toad having the monster truck you better have that in a Mario Kart type of game.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they will. They know that that's going to be popular enough. They'll put it in.
And the reason why is because Toad is considered a small character, and small characters get like the smaller like bikes or cars and stuff like that. Well, the bigger you are, the bigger carts you have. Well, you have this tiny little Toad who gets a giant monster cart. Give that availability.
Yeah, I think the Mario Kart sequence, since you bring that up, it was serviceable. Like I thought I was expecting more out of it. Like it was serviceable enough. I was kind of picturing in my head like Mad Max music as they're on the roads with the heavy metal guitar,
It's Rainbow Road.
And I know.
I would prefer Rainbow Road music while they're doing that.
Well, at first, but then Bowser maybe corrupts it, and that's when they start playing the Mad Max stuff.
Even then, Bowser's still in Mario Kart. There's no, you don't see any corruption or anything like that. I would still prefer Rainbow Road, stuff like that. Although Blue Shell was the kind of interesting one.
Oh, yeah, when they do the Blue Shell, that they're in first place, and then it flies over you, and then, yeah!
Oh my god, I got, there's so many. It's like, wait, you're supposed to get first! You just got slightly behind. Wait, no!
Yeah, I still remember how much of a pain that was. Oh, the skeleton Koopas.
Oh, yep.
When Luigi defeats one of those, but then it reassembles.
Yeah.
I liked that because those were some of the tougher enemies in the games.
Yeah, because they're dry bones. I mean, it's just like...
And they're undead, so it's bound to happen.
Bound to happen. And then, of course, Luigi, he goes into... It looked like, basically, the old Bowser castle, even though... In his flashback, which they kind of showed baby Mario, baby Luigi.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing they threw in there.
Yep. But it looked like, to me, it looked like Bowser Castle. If you actually looked at the N64 Bowser Castle, kind of like that map, that castle, I'm like, that castle is basically from that game.
I think, the other thing I wanted to bring up was the performances of some of the cast, because you liked Jack Black as Bowser.
I liked Jack Black as Bowser.
I did not. I thought he was weak.
I thought he was really good. I thought he kind of fit like the Bowser characters a little bit too. When I saw, I was like,
I would have wanted like something scarier, like something more menacing and intimidating for Bowser, because I've always seen him as like the big bad of Mario, and I know there's other evil characters, but I just wanted something like a little more than what we got. Like I was talking to you about this, like I would have liked if Michael Shannon, who was General Zod in Man of Steel, was Bowser, and then he was all like, well, the foundation of my kingdom has to be built on something. I'm going to destroy all your kingdoms. Then I'll rebuild my kingdom atop Mario's bones, or something like that.
Yeah, no, but I like Jack Black just because he played a lot more into Bowser, basically, because Bowser's like, I'm going to rule the kingdom, but I want to marry you, Princess Peach.
That was another thing that was just, like, bizarre, was, like, his strange affection for Peach. And I know in the games he's always kidnapped Peach and stuff.
Yeah.
But the way they did it, it was like... It's like... How do I describe this? Because I know this has happened in the real world, where these guys, they like fantasize over these people that they see online, and they think, oh, they're so cool. I'll give them money. I want to be like them. Yeah. But then they meet the person, and they're like... It's an awful lot like that.
Yeah, but with Bowser, though, I mean, again... We seen it in Odyssey too, especially. He tried to marry her.
So it came from there?
Yeah.
I didn't play the game, so...
Yeah, Odyssey, Odyssey, he tried to marry Princess Peach in Odyssey, which in the movie, he did that exact same sort of thing. The only difference was Princess Peach denied him right away in the movie, versus in the game, you have to wait till you beat him a little bit before Princess Peach says, no. And then Bowser goes, oh.
Yeah, I just kind of felt like it was just very basic in terms of its writing, you know? Like it wasn't anything groundbreaking, it wasn't anything that had too much depth to it, and I know it's a kid's film, but I guess I wanted something a little more. But Jack Black, I mean, I just felt he was kind of weak. Chris Pratt as Mario, though, he was so, I guess.
He was all right. I mean, I was a little bit concerned at first, but I mean, he turned out a little bit better than expected. Same thing with Charlie, Charlie Day.
Yeah, but there wasn't really anything about the performances that made me go, wow, these guys were the right fit. I'm like,
To me, Jack Black seemed like the right fit. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
that was Seth Rogen playing Seth Rogen. I didn't get any distinction out of that.
Again, turned out a little bit better than expected. Anna Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach.
Now, she I liked.
Yeah, I like too.
Yeah, that was good. That was good on their part.
And
But outside of that, everyone else was just kind of, rolling with it, just doing what they had to do.
Yeah.
I just didn't think these were the groundbreaking performances or something like that.
Yeah, there were a few that I liked a lot, and most of them are kind of slightly better than expected, basically. Kind of as expected, basically.
I kind of would have preferred if they had gotten professional voice actors to really do these parts instead of celebrity voice acting, because celebrity voice acting in movies is very hit and miss.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and this is one of those cases where I'm
kind of combination of all. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few voice actors in here, like Cree Summer. She was the owner of that fancy New York house that wanted her plumbing fixed.
Oh, yeah.
I recognize that. Scott Menville was in this, and he's Robin from Teen Titans, but I did not hear him at all. He was the Koopa General. I didn't hear him at all.
Yeah.
Which was strange, because if you're going to have Kari Payton and Scott Menville show up, have the other Titans show up at least. You need Greg Sipes, you need Tara Strong, and then I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Hayden.
Tara Strong as Daisy. I could see that.
Oh, you could see that?
I could.
If you're gonna get some really good voice actresses, have Jennifer Hale show up as one of these characters somewhere down the road. That would be nice. I think really, the performances, they weren't necessarily the greatest, but they weren't the worst. They were, much of them were so-so, with the exception of Peach. She was the best one. If only because at least that felt natural and they casted it right.
Oh, but you forgot another almost theater favorite, though, which we'll get about in a few seconds here.
Just hang on a sec, folks. Go on ahead, because we got to wrap this up a bit.
Oh, yeah, but the depressing star, the one that was basically was oh, there's no hope, there's just the weight of death.
That character, I'm pretty sure, is going to generate merchandising sales. Nothing more.
Oh my god, that one was a really funny one, and the penguin's stop it already, we're depressed enough, stop making us depressed even more. It reminds me of the ASDF movie, that little muffin kid, basically. It was hey,
ASDF, what does that stand for again?
It's just ASDF movie. You have to look it up on YouTube. I'll show you, actually. But that little star, the blue star, it reminds me of that muffin little kid so much, because it was you have room for a muffin? Oh, the little muffin. Why would you let me die? And the star was basically kind of like that, and they sounded very much alike too, where it's oh, don't worry, this is all gonna be over soon, we're all gonna be killed, and it's gonna be the sign of relief, and it's oh god.
That character probably has more merchandising appeal than anything else, really.
It's just so that star was very funny, though, just out of his sheer depression to die with a smile. Depression is serious, though, but that character in general, though, was funny, though. Although depression, you gotta take it seriously.
There were two more other things that kind of bothered me in this one. For example, no Yoshi in this movie. Not at all. You see a herd of Yoshi running in the Mushroom Kingdom, and then they have a post-credit scene that teases Yoshi for an inevitable sequel. But I would have wanted Yoshi to show up, because he's a key part of this.
Yeah, we'll probably see him in the sequel, though, along with a few of the characters that we haven't seen that are in the Mario franchise. Wario, Waluigi, Daisy, as I mentioned.
They're gonna get them eventually.
Yeah, they're going to come in eventually, yeah.
And then another thing is, I would have wanted a fight between Donkey Kong and Bowser, because we see a little bit of that, but not too much.
No, that was in the... Again, that was one of those things that if you would extend the movie a little bit further, you probably would have saw a good amount of that Donkey Kong Bowser fight, basically. If they would extend the movie a little bit further, that's probably would have been like that first kind of like request is, if you could extend it a little bit further, have the Bowser Donkey Kong fight kind of like show up, basically.
But it's like, you know how in Godzilla versus Kong, when Godzilla and Kong have their brawl, and it's like awesome to watch, and you're like, oh yeah, this is a lot of fun. I would have wanted that.
Yeah.
Because that would have been an awesome fight to have. And I think the end battle, for some reason, it reminded me of the end fights, the ending battle in Thor Ragnarok. When Thor gets all lightning-y and he's like plowing through the enemies.
Oh yeah, but this time it was Mario and Luigi plowing through the enemies to fight Bowser.
Yeah, and Luigi got tossed to the side a lot in this one.
He did, but then he shined at the end.
Yeah, but I would have wanted him to like be throughout the entire movie and not be sidelined, because it's called the Super Mario Brothers for a reason. It's not just one, there's two.
Well, Super Mario movie. I don't know if they said bros, but
The Super Mario Bros. Movie was in the title.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I guess then, yeah, but you do see the brothers though.
I just would have liked, if it was just them together and they're going on this big adventure,
Yeah.
But I think really, maybe they'll do something in a sequel. I don't know what they got planned.
Maybe.
But they'll do something.
Yep. And you mentioned you saw King Boo, and there's the King Bomb.
Yeah, he walked out when this happened because he had to
bathroom break.
Yeah, so he walked out. I saw King Boo show up at the wedding scene, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I know they want to do a Luigi's Mansion movie, so maybe we'll see the ghost characters show up.
Which showed up, which they kind of hinted at a little bit with the flashlight shaking a little bit in the night, or during the Darklands, basically. Then, of course, when he went into the castle, or like the abandoned castle, the Shy Guy's right behind him, and then, of course, lightning, and then, and then, of course, Luigi kind of like screaming in horror. It's like Luigi's Mansion.
They'll probably do that because this movie's made enough money. They'll warrant that.
$5 billion plus counting.
Not $5 billion. It's $500 million.
500 million? Okay, 500 million plus counting.
But someone on the internet could fake it and say it made $5 billion already and outgrossed Avatar. Someone could do that.
They tried to use this as a reference.
Reference to what?
What you're saying, like, oh, this guy, this movie made $5 billion, referencing to this clip.
Something like that. Yeah. I guess so. I don't know where my train of thought was going on that.
Yes.
But I think, this is sort of a quick reaction because there's not really a whole lot to spoil with this one.
Not a whole lot to spoil, but there are a lot of interesting characters. The movie was really good. I liked the movie.
Before we wrap it up, there was one more thing I did want to mention.
And that
I wanted to see more of the underwater sections. Because there were levels in one of the games I played dedicated to the underwater worlds,
Sort of a little bit. During probably when I went on my bathroom break a little bit, when the eel... Yeah,
they get swallowed up by this big eel. And the way they shoot this scene, it's like... in Finding Nemo, when Marlin and Dory get swallowed by the blue whale.
Because I did see that part, though. The part that I missed was when they were having when Mario and Donkey Kong were having that,
Yeah, they were having an argument about their fathers, and then there's this cart that shows up, and that's how they get out.
Yeah, because that's the part I missed, basically. And then I missed kind of like the King Boo showing up, because I came back in the theater with Princess Peach getting basically, brought up to the altar, basically.
Oh, yeah. I would have wanted more of the underwater sections, because we see the squids, we see the fish, we see the eels. In fact, the first time we see the jaw of the eel, that's like thalassophobia videos on YouTube almost.
Oh, yeah. And then also Ice Peach, too. That's another thing I wanted to see.
You wanted to see Ice Peach?
Because a power-up, because if Peach is able to get an ice power-up, basically, why not give that to Mario? Why not give that to Luigi or something?
They'll probably do it in a sequel, I mean.
Or, in a game, in the movie as well, probably as well. But in a game, too, if you're going to give something like this, that's another thing of a request. Put it in a game!
And I don't even know if, Nintendo's going to build a cinematic universe around this or not. They might.
They have a really nice intro.
Yeah, there was a very nice intro to the NES era.
Yeah.
And if they introduce more characters, they'll kind of have a Marvel-esque logo.
Well, they'll probably start with, each of their own characters, from their original games, intro, to with the Nintendo logo, whatever that be, like like with Link, like hold the sword high, and all of a sudden it brights up, and all of a sudden you see Nintendo logo, or Star Fox with the crew, or the 4 Arcwing kind of flying across, and as it's flying across, Nintendo logos pops up kind of like along with it.
If you're gonna have Link like hold the sword up like this, you should have him shout, "By the power of Hyrule, I have the power!" He-Man reference.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I mean, maybe Nintendo will build a cinematic universe around this, because they've been reluctant for years about adapting their properties into movies.
Although, again, if the Super Smash Bros., that's gonna be like a very big build-up, because again, you have a lot of
That's honestly what these movies should build up to, is the Smash Brothers movie, because that would be like their Avengers.
Yeah, because that is a big world to get into, is the Super Smash Bros. Because again, you have Mario, you have Donkey Kong, you have Fox, you have Captain Falcon.
You got Link, you got Zelda, Ganondorf to an extent. You got the Ice Climbers.
Ice Climbers, Yoshi, Kirby, for crying out loud.
Oh yeah, that was another one we forgot to mention when talking about this coming back, was Kirby.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do that.
Yeah. Probably the most powerful video game character of all time is Kirby.
They could do that. Although, how would they function the Pokemon into this? Because I know, yes, Pokemon's a part of this entire brand, but Toho would probably fight with Nintendo over that.
Well, you also have, again, in term, because Brawl 2, you have Sony with Sonic, and...
No, Sega was Sonic.
Oh, Sega, that's Sony,
Sonic. And then
Sega,
you had Solid Snake.
Sony is Solid Snake, yeah.
Well, actually, no, Solid Snake's Hideo Kojima, not strictly Sony, because I know the Metal Gear series has been on other platforms.
Yep. But yeah, so Kojima with Metal Gears. They were able to get that through once, because that's how Snake got into Brawl and other games as well. If it was successful once, they could do it again. And same thing with Sonic, with Sega.
I don't know if Hideo Kojima would allow Solid Snake to show up in this, because he's really protective of the property, so you never know what could happen.
I mean, again, you were able to allow him to get in the Brawl, and took him out, and I believe they took him out in... I think the Wii U Super Smash Bros., but then put them back in Ultimate.
Well, whatever Nintendo's got planned, we'll just have to see further down the road. But we kind of got to wrap this up here, because I did want to make a shorter video, because I know we've done some long stuff, but I did want to do something shorter, experimental, variate it a bit. Yep. So, in conclusion, how would you sum up this movie?
I'd say it's a really good film. It is a kids film, but if you're into that nostalgia, like again, Nintendo, you grew up playing the Nintendo world, you played a lot of these video games and stuff like that. This is actually a faithful video game movie.
I think for me, this is a mixed bag. Like, on one hand, the animation I thought was fantastic. Like, this is seriously good level of animation, Pixar level. The action was serviceable, although I would have wanted something a little more with it. The voice acting of Anya Taylor-Joy was pretty good. Everybody else I'm very so-so on. The references I didn't mind. Those were actually pretty cool.
Yep.
But I think, this is a kid's movie, and I've always felt the best animated films were always the ones that, yes, they were made for kids, but at the same time, there's something there for the older audiences.
Yep.
This one... There is something for the older audiences, like you said, the nostalgia of playing these games.
Yep.
I just would have wanted something a little more. I guess really, I'm in two minds about this. There's good things, there's things I'm iffy about. Maybe I would rewatch it again if I was doing a marathon of all the video gaming movies to see the history of them. But, I mean... If someone told me, how does this rank among the other video game movies, I would say, this is probably better than a large majority of them.
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of terrible video game movies out there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to put this one with the newer Sonic movies, basically. Because...
Although I haven't seen those.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick which video game movies would I place above the Super Mario Brothers movie, probably Batman Assault on Arkham, because that's set in the Arkham universe, and then Dead Space Downfall, which is actually a really good tie-in movie to the Dead Space franchise.
You're talking about that animated or... Like
animated.
That short movie, right?
Animated Dead Space Downfall, yeah. I would probably put those two above this one because at least those two knew the world that they came from and
Yeah.
replicated the feel. This one, I mean, it replicates the feel, but at the same time, I was just kind of hoping for a little more because, yes, this is a kid's film. I shouldn't pick on it too much, but the truth is, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot to say, I guess. Maybe when they get more stuff out, there'll be a little more to say. Because I would like it if they expanded on some more things. Probably gave it a little more depth. But this movie's made enough money as it is. It's clearly entertaining a lot of people.
Oh, it definitely it is.
Yeah, I guess maybe if I had played more Mario growing up and had more leaning towards Mario. Because the platformers that I love are Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet and Clank, and then I have played Sly Cooper. I liked that for what it was.
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot I like, but it's harder compared to those things. You play a Crash Bandicoot game and you're gonna have a hard time with that. They're like harder than Mario. That's all I'm gonna say. The first three at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, this was kind of a mixed bag for me, and I mean, maybe I'd like it more for a specific reason or two, but you know.
Yeah.
I guess really, you know, that's our quick reaction on the Super Mario movie.
Yeah.
I would say if you have kids, go see it. They'll probably get a good time out of it. Me personally, I mean, I don't know if I'd watch it again, maybe once in a blue moon.
Or for me, it's like either if you have kids or if you're going out with a group of friends, go watch the movie. Even if you're by yourself, you just want to watch it the first time, go ahead and see it. Because if you're a fan of Nintendo, Super Mario, or nostalgic and all that sort of stuff, it's a really good watch for an hour and a half film.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too long. It wasn't terribly short. It was pretty fast for what it was. But I mean, there you have it. That's our quick reaction to it.
Yeah.
And I did want to make a longer video on this, but after seeing the movie, I think I feel justified with what we've done here for a shorter video. And at least it variates the vlogs that we've done so far. But for a longer video, let's hope that Guardians 3, we can make that one long enough.
Hopefully, yeah.
Because I do have something to say about that Guardians 3. If I had to give a slight pointer off to it, no Taserface! No Taserface, unless he shows up for a cameo.
Who knows, yeah.
I will go into that once we get to Guardians 3. But there you have it. That's the Super Mario Brothers movie. If you really like Mario, you really like this movie, but I'd say go make up your minds.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of people are doing, is they're making up their mind on it.
Just look at the Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at that, make up your mind and stuff, but this is one of those movies where you just got to go in, whatever your thoughts are, and just run with it, you know?
Yep.
Anyway, quick reaction. That's all for now. See you next time.